Say these words and feel the divine answer immediately. Florence Scovel Shinn. There exists within you at this very moment a power so magnificent, so transformative, that when properly understood and applied, it can literally reshape your entire reality in the time it takes to speak a single sentence. This power has been with you since your first breath, yet most walk through life completely unaware of its existence. Florence Scovel Shinn recognized this divine gift as the spoken word, not merely sounds that vibrate through air, but sacred frequencies that command the very substance of creation itself. When you speak, you are not simply communicating with other human beings. You are issuing divine decrees to the universe, activating spiritual laws that have governed creation since time immemorial. Every word that leaves your lips carries within it the creative force of the Almighty, for you are made in the image and likeness of the Creator. Your words are not powerless utterances lost in space. They are living seeds planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility, destined to manifest according to their spiritual content. Consider for a moment the profound responsibility and magnificent opportunity this represents. If your words possess creative power, then you have been walking around with the ability to consciously direct your life experience through the sacred act of speaking. Yet how often do you find yourself speaking carelessly, allowing doubt, fear, and limitation to flow from your lips as though they were truth? How often do you declare what you don't want, what you fear, what troubles you, not realizing that in doing so, you are actually commanding these very experiences into manifestation? The divine answer you seek, whether it be healing, prosperity, love, or peace, is not hidden in some distant realm requiring years of seeking. It exists in the sacred space between your conscious intention and your spoken word. When you align your speech with divine truth, when you declare what God has already established as your spiritual inheritance, you create an immediate vibrational bridge between the invisible realm of infinite supply and your visible world of experience. I am the perfect expression of divine love, radiating perfect health, perfect supply, and perfect happiness. When these words are spoken with understanding and faith, they do not merely represent a hopeful wish or positive thinking. They become a divine command, a spiritual law activated through your conscious participation in the creative process. The universe has no choice but to respond, for you are invoking the very principles upon which all creation operates. But here lies the sacred secret that separates those who experience miraculous transformation from those who continue to struggle. The words must be spoken from a place of knowing, not hoping. When you truly understand that you are not asking for something external to be given to you, but rather declaring what is already spiritually established as your divine right, your words carry an authority that instantly commands attention from every force in the universe. You are not begging. You are decreeing. You are not hoping. You are knowing. You are not seeking. You are claiming what has always belonged to you as a child of the Most High. The moment you shift from speaking your problems to speaking your divine inheritance, from declaring your limitations to proclaiming your spiritual identity, you step into a realm of power that most never discover. Your words become magnets, drawing to you the exact experiences that match their spiritual frequency. This is not metaphor or philosophy. This is the practical application of divine law through conscious speech. For too long, humanity has been under a collective hypnosis, a spell cast not by external forces, but by our own unconscious participation in patterns of limited speaking. We have been trained to speak our fears, our lacks, our struggles, as though these temporary appearances were permanent realities. We say, "I can't afford it," and wonder why abundance eludes us. We declare, "I never have enough time," and watch as our days become increasingly rushed and chaotic. We proclaim, "Nothing ever works out for me," and then stand amazed as disappointment follows, disappointment with mathematical precision. Florence Scovel Shinn understood that this pattern of negative declaration was not merely unfortunate, It was the primary mechanism through which we create and perpetuate the very experiences we claim not to want. Every time you speak limitation, you are actually giving a divine command for limitation to manifest in your experience. The universe, operating through perfect law, has no choice but to fulfill your spoken orders, regardless of whether they serve your highest good or create suffering. But what would happen if you suddenly awakened to this truth? What would shift in your life if you realized that you have been unconsciously programming your subconscious mind and the universal creative force through every casual complaint, every worried prediction, every fearful declaration? The answer is both simple and profound. Everything would change, and it would change immediately. The breaking of this spell begins with a sacred recognition that you are not a victim of circumstances speaking about your problems, but a divine being with creative authority speaking your reality into existence. When you catch yourself about to declare limitation, pause and ask, "Is this what I wish to command into my experience?" If the answer is no, then redirect your speech toward what you do wish to manifest. Instead of saying, "I'm so tired," declare, "Divine energy flows through me now, renewing every cell of my being." Rather than proclaiming, "I'm broke," affirm, "I am prospered in all my ways through the infinite supply of divine substance." When tempted to say, "This situation is impossible," choose instead to announce, "With God, all things are possible, and divine intelligence now reveals the perfect solution." This is not about denying what appears to be true in the physical realm. This is about recognizing a higher truth that has the power to transform physical appearances. When you speak from the level of spiritual reality rather than material appearance, you invoke divine law to reorganize the material world in alignment with spiritual truth. This is how miracles happen. Not through magic, but through the proper application of divine principle through conscious speech. I speak only words of truth, power, and blessing, for I am the voice of divine intelligence expressing perfectly. This declaration, when spoken with understanding, begins to reprogram years of unconscious limitation speaking. Your subconscious mind, which has been faithfully reproducing whatever you consistently tell it, suddenly receives new instructions. The universe, which has been responding to your old commands, immediately begins to rearrange circumstances to match your new vibrational frequency. The transformation is not gradual, it is immediate. The moment you shift from limited speaking to divine declaration, you step into a new energetic realm where different laws operate, where different possibilities exist, where different results become inevitable. The question is not whether this works, but whether you are willing to take full responsibility for the creative power of your words and use them consciously to craft the life experience you truly desire. Within the realm of divine law, there exists no delay between cause and effect, between word and manifestation, between declaration and divine response. The appearance of delay that we often experience exists not in the spiritual realm, but in our own consciousness, in our ability to maintain unwavering faith in what we have spoken, and in our capacity to receive what we have claimed. When Jesus said, "Before they call, I will answer," he was revealing a fundamental truth about the instantaneous nature of divine response to conscious spiritual demand. Florence Scovel Shinn discovered through both study and practical application that the universe operates on the principle of immediate spiritual fulfillment. When you speak a word aligned with divine truth, the spiritual substance of that manifestation is instantly supplied. What appears as time delay is simply the natural process of invisible spiritual reality becoming visible material experience. But even this process can be accelerated dramatically when we understand how to speak with divine authority rather than human hoping. The secret lies in understanding that you are not speaking to a distant God who may or may not choose to respond. You are speaking as the individualized expression of divine intelligence, using the same creative power that brought forth all creation. When you declare, "Divine love now draws to me, my perfect spiritual companion," you are not making a request. You are activating a spiritual law that immediately sets in motion all the forces necessary to manifest this divine appointment in your experience. But here is where most falter. They speak the divine word, then immediately begin to monitor physical appearances for evidence of manifestation, and when they don't see instant material results, they conclude that it's not working and return to old patterns of limited speaking. This is like planting a seed and then digging it up every day to check if it's growing. The seed knows how to grow. It needs only proper conditions and your unwavering faith in its inherent perfection. I plant only perfect seeds in the garden of consciousness, and I trust the divine intelligence within them to produce perfect harvest in perfect timing. This knowing allows you to speak your divine word and then rest in absolute confidence, knowing that invisible spiritual forces are immediately activated to produce visible material results. You don't need to see how it will happen. You need only to know that it is happening. The feeling of immediate divine response comes not from seeing outer evidence, but from the inner recognition that your word has been heard and is being fulfilled. When you speak from true spiritual authority, you feel a sense of completion, a knowing that it is done. This feeling is not based on hope or positive thinking. It is the actual recognition of spiritual law in operation. You have issued a divine decree, and divine law is already fulfilling your command. Before they call, I will answer means that the divine response to your need already exists in spiritual substance, waiting only for your conscious claim through spoken word. When you understand this, your speaking becomes less like praying for help and more like claiming what has always belonged to you. You are not trying to get God to do something. You are allowing divine intelligence to express through you as the perfect fulfillment of divine intention. This shift in understanding transforms not only what you say, but how you say it. Your words carry a different frequency, a different authority, a different expectation. You speak as one who knows that divine response is not only possible, but inevitable, because you are cooperating with universal law rather than hoping it might work in your favor. The universe responds to this frequency of knowing with immediate movement in your direction. There are specific words and phrases that, when spoken with understanding and faith, create an instant vibrational alignment with divine supply, divine love, divine healing, and divine guidance. These are not magical incantations or religious formulas. They are scientific spiritual statements that invoke exact spiritual laws and produce predictable divine results. Florence Scovel Shinn spent years discovering and testing these sacred word combinations, proving again and again their power to transform conditions instantly. When you declare, "Divine intelligence now reveals to me the perfect way," you are not making a hopeful request. You are activating the omniscient aspect of divine mind that knows all things, sees all possibilities, and has perfect solutions for every apparent problem. This statement immediately connects your conscious mind to the infinite wisdom that has been waiting to guide you toward your highest good. The key is to speak these words with the absolute conviction that divine intelligence is not separate from you. It is the very substance of your own consciousness when aligned with truth. For manifestation of supply, the divine formula, "I am the outlet for infinite divine substance, and abundant supply now flows to me and through me," creates an immediate shift from consciousness of lack to consciousness of infinite resource. When spoken with understanding, these words realign your entire energetic field with the truth of divine abundance. You are not asking for supply to come to you. You are declaring yourself to be the very channel through which supply naturally flows. In matters of the heart, divine love now draws to me my perfect spiritual relationships, sets in motion the magnetic power of divine attraction. This is not about finding someone to complete you or fill an emptiness within you. This declaration recognizes that as a perfect expression of divine love, you naturally attract others who are also expressing this divine quality. Perfect spiritual relationships, whether romantic, friendship, or business, are not accidents or lucky breaks. They are the natural result of conscious alignment with the divine principle of love. For healing, perfect life, perfect love, perfect power, now express perfectly through every cell of my being, immediately invokes the divine life force that is constantly seeking to express as perfect health through your physical form. disease, and limitation are not true from a spiritual standpoint. They are simply the result of consciousness that has forgotten its divine nature. This sacred formula reminds every cell of your body of its spiritual identity and divine right to perfect expression. "I go before me and make the way straight" becomes your declaration when facing any challenge or uncertainty. These words, originally spoken by divine intelligence itself, remind you that the very consciousness with which you approach any situation is already working to prepare the perfect path. You are not walking into unknown territory hoping for the best. You are walking a path that has already been prepared by the infinite wisdom that goes before you always. But remember, these are not words to be spoken once and then forgotten. They are living spiritual seeds that require the fertile soil of repeated planting, the sunshine of unwavering faith, and the water of grateful expectation. Each time you speak these divine formulas, you are deepening the groove in consciousness that allows divine manifestation to flow more easily into your experience. "My word shall not return unto me void, but shall accomplish that whereunto it was sent." When you understand that your words are not merely personal opinions, but expressions of divine truth, they carry an authority that commands universal response. The sacred formulas work not because of the specific arrangement of letters and sounds, but because they align your consciousness with divine law and invoke the creative power that is your spiritual birthright as a child of the Most High. Every word you speak carries with it a specific vibrational frequency that either elevates your consciousness toward divine realization or lowers it toward material limitation. This is not metaphorical language. It is precise spiritual science. When you speak words aligned with divine truth, your entire energetic field immediately shifts to match that frequency, and the universe begins to respond by bringing you experiences that match this elevated vibration. Conversely, when you speak words of fear, lack, or limitation, you instantly lower your vibrational frequency, and the law of attraction must bring you experiences that correspond to this diminished state. Florence Scovel Shinn understood that consciousness is not fixed or static. It is constantly being shaped and reshaped by the quality of thoughts we think and words we speak. This means that at any moment, through conscious choice of speech, you can instantly transform your entire life trajectory. You are not bound by past patterns, family history, economic conditions, or any other apparent limitation. You are bound only by the level of consciousness you choose to maintain through your speaking. Consider the profound implications of this truth. If you have been experiencing lack, limitation, illness, or unhappiness, it is not because these conditions have been imposed upon you by external circumstances. These experiences are the perfect, outward reflection of the vibrational frequency you have been maintaining through unconscious speaking. The moment you recognize this, you step into tremendous power, the power to consciously choose different words and thereby create different experiences. I now choose to speak only words that elevate my consciousness and align me with my divine nature. This declaration becomes a sacred commitment to conscious speech, a recognition that every word is either building the life you desire or perpetuating experiences you no longer wish to have. When you make this commitment with sincerity, you begin to notice thoughts before they become words, and you gain the power to choose divine declaration over human complaining. The transformation happens in layers. First, you become aware of how much of your daily speech has been unconsciously creating undesired experiences. This awareness alone begins to shift your vibration, because consciousness that recognizes truth automatically begins to align with truth. Next, you start catching yourself before speaking limiting words, creating small moments of silence where you can choose divine declaration instead. These moments of conscious choice accumulate, creating momentum toward consistent high-frequency speaking. Every word I speak is spoken from my divine nature and carries the creative power of infinite love. As this becomes your lived reality rather than just a hopeful statement, you begin to feel the actual vibrational shift that occurs each time you speak. Your words begin to feel different in your mouth, to resonate differently in your chest, to create different sensations in your body. You are literally learning to feel the creative power flowing through your speech. This vibrational transformation affects not only your own consciousness, but the consciousness of everyone around you. Others begin to respond to you differently, not because you are trying to influence them, but because you are vibrating at a frequency that naturally inspires divine response in others. Opportunities begin appearing that were always available, but could only be perceived from a higher vibrational perspective. Solutions emerge that were always present, but could only be accessed through elevated consciousness. I am a divine vibrational transformer, raising the frequency of every environment I enter through conscious alignment with divine truth. This understanding turns you into a living blessing, someone whose very presence elevates the spiritual atmosphere wherever you go. Your words become healing medicine, prosperity seeds, love magnets, and wisdom activators for everyone blessed to hear them. This is not spiritual ego. This is the natural result of understanding and applying the vibrational science of conscious speaking. You have now journeyed through the sacred understanding that your words are not merely communication tools, but divine creative forces that shape your reality with precision and power. The ultimate realization is this: you yourself are the living Word of God made manifest in human form, and your every breath, thought, and spoken declaration either honors this divine truth or denies it. Florence Scovel Shinn's greatest teaching was not about using words to get things from God, but about recognizing that we are the very expression of divine intelligence seeking to know and experience itself through individual consciousness. When you fully embody this understanding, your speaking becomes less about trying to create desired outcomes and more about expressing the divine nature that you are. You no longer speak as a human being hoping divine law might work for you. You speak as divine law itself, expressing through your individualized consciousness with perfect authority and infinite love. This shift transforms not only your external experiences, but your entire relationship with existence itself. I am the Word of God speaking itself into perfect expression through this blessed individualized form. This is not spiritual pride or religious pretension. This is the recognition of your true identity that has the power to transform every aspect of your human experience. When you know yourself as divine expression, your words naturally carry divine authority. When you recognize your consciousness as individualized divine intelligence, your declarations automatically align with divine will. Living as the divine word made manifest means that every conversation becomes a sacred opportunity to speak divine truth into existence. Every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate spiritual authority over material appearances. Every relationship becomes a divine appointment where love expresses itself more fully through conscious connection. Every business transaction becomes an exchange of divine substance blessed by conscious participation in universal abundance. Perfect God within me, perfect God expressing as me, perfect God manifesting through me. I and the Father are one. This declaration dissolves any sense of separation between human effort and divine power, between personal will and divine will, between individual consciousness and universal consciousness. When separation dissolves, struggle ceases. When you know yourself as divine expression, resistance becomes impossible because you are no longer fighting against universal flow. You are the very consciousness through which universal flow expresses itself perfectly. The miraculous becomes natural when you live from this understanding. Healing is no longer something you hope for. It is the natural expression of perfect life expressing as your physical form. Abundance is no longer something you try to attract. It is the natural circulation of divine substance through your consciousness. Love is no longer something you seek from others. It is the very essence of what you are, expressing itself in all directions through conscious recognition. I am the perfect expression of divine love, divine wisdom, and divine power, manifesting as radiant health, abundant supply, perfect relationships, and joyous self-expression. This comprehensive declaration of spiritual identity becomes not just something you say, but something you live, breathe, and embody with every word, every thought, every action, every moment of conscious existence. Your life becomes a living testimony to the power of conscious speaking, aligned with divine truth. Others look at your experience and wonder how you consistently manifest what you desire, how you navigate challenges with such grace, how you maintain such unshakable faith in good outcomes. The answer is simple. You have learned to live as the divine word made manifest, speaking your spiritual inheritance into material expression through the sacred power of conscious declaration. Divine intelligence speaks through me. Divine love expresses as me. Divine power manifests through me. I am the perfect outlet for all that God is, and all that God is now expresses perfectly as my blessed human experience. This is not the end of your journey, but the beginning of living as the divine being you have always been. Finally awake to your true nature and empowered to speak your highest destiny into manifest reality through the sacred authority of the divine word within you.